Have you ever gone to the store just to buy one simple thing, like peanut butter? You walk in expecting to grab your usual jar and head home, but suddenly you're standing in front of a wall of shelves, lined with dozens of brands: crunchy, smooth, organic, low-fat, high-protein, gluten-free, sugar-free, salted, unsalted. There's peanut butter with honey, with chia seeds, with extra omega-3. And each brand has its own little promise printed on the label. America's favorite, award-winning, doctor recommended. What started as a 30-second errand turns into a 10-minute internal crisis. You start comparing ingredients, you Google reviews, you hesitate, switch jars, then switch again. Finally, you pick one, but on the way home, a thought creeps in. Wait, did I pick the right one? Now imagine this situation multiplied across your entire day. What to wear, what to eat, which route to take to work, what to respond in a message, which task to start first, which app to open, which show to watch, which coffee to order, which news article to click. We live in an age of abundance, where nearly everything is just one tap, one swipe, or one scroll away. On the surface, it seems empowering. After all, more choice should mean more freedom, right? But beneath that surface lies a growing anxiety, an invisible weight pressing down on our ability to feel confident, to feel content, even to feel happy. In this video, we're going to explore a psychological truth that's hard to admit, that more choices don't always make life better. Sometimes they make it harder. Sometimes they make us miserable. At first glance, choice seems like the ultimate gift of freedom. We're told that the more options we have, the more control we gain over our lives, that we can craft our perfect day, build our perfect life, simply by making the right choices. That's the dream, isn't it? But for psychologist Barry Schwartz, that dream is a dangerous illusion. In his groundbreaking book, The Paradox of Choice, Why More is Less, Schwartz challenges one of the core assumptions of modern society. He argues that more choice doesn't necessarily lead to more happiness. In fact, it often does the opposite. Too many options, he says, don't liberate us. They paralyze us. Instead of empowering us, they overwhelm us. We become burdened with the responsibility of finding the best. And when we finally make a decision, we're haunted by doubt, consumed by what ifs, and left unsatisfied, even if our choice was perfectly fine. This is the paradox. We think more choice means more happiness, but too much choice leads to regret, stress, and chronic dissatisfaction. And this isn't just some theory on paper. It's something you and I feel every single day. From deciding what to wear in the morning, to picking the right career, the perfect partner, the ideal phone plan, or the next show to binge watch. We're constantly swimming in a sea of decisions, big and small, and it's wearing us down. Schwartz believes that our culture glorifies unlimited choice as a symbol of progress. But the reality is, the more options we're given, the more we're forced to analyze, compare, optimize, and doubt. And as strange as it sounds, this overabundance can actually make us feel less free, not more. In this video, we're going to explore why this happens. We'll look at how the brain responds to too many decisions. We'll dive into studies, real-life examples, and even the philosophy of freedom and identity. And more importantly, we'll ask a deeper question. Is the freedom to choose always a good thing? Or can it become a kind of prison, one we build ourselves, one decision at a time? Stick around. The answers may surprise you. To understand why too many choices overwhelm us, we need to look at how our brain actually makes decisions. Cognitive science tells us that our brain relies on two systems. System 1, fast, intuitive, automatic. And System 2, slow, analytical, effortful. System 1 is the one you use when you instinctively reach for your favorite cereal or hit snooze on your alarm clock. It's quick, emotional, and often unconscious. But when decisions become more complex, when there are multiple variables, trade-offs, and possible outcomes, System 2 takes the wheel. And this system demands energy. Your prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logical reasoning and decision-making, lights up like a busy control tower when you weigh multiple options. The more choices you're given, the harder it has to work. But here's the catch. Decision-making is like a muscle. It gets tired. Every small decision, what to eat, what to reply to a message, what socks to wear, uses up mental fuel. This phenomenon is known as decision fatigue. It's why after a long day of work, even deciding what to have for dinner can feel like a burden. It's why we default to easy, familiar options like ordering takeout or rewatching an old show. A famous study showed how real this effect can be. Researchers analyzed over 1,000 parole decisions by judges. In the morning, prisoners had a 65% chance of being granted parole. By late afternoon, it dropped to nearly zero. Why? The judges weren't becoming stricter. They were simply tired, mentally exhausted. So they defaulted to the safest option: deny parole. Now think about your own life. After a full day of choices, big and small, your brain's ability to make rational, satisfying decisions is diminished. So what do? You procrastinate. You pick the easiest thing. Or you avoid deciding altogether. This is what choice overload does. It doesn't just confuse us, it drains us. And in that drained state, we're more likely to make impulsive decisions or none at all. Let's take this concept from theory into the real world. One of the most famous demonstrations of the paradox of choice comes from a study by Sheena Iyengar at Columbia University. In a local grocery store, researchers set up two tasting booths. One had 24 varieties of jam, the other only 6. Common sense would say the more jam, the better, right? And initially that seemed true. More people were drawn to the table with 24 options. It looked exciting, luxurious, abundant. But here's the twist. When it came time to actually buy, the booth with 6 jams outsold the big one by 10 times. The conclusion was stunning. Too many options attract attention, but fewer options lead to action. This isn't limited to jam. Think about online shopping. The endless scroll of reviews, features, discounts, only 3 left warnings. It paralyzes us. You compare, you hesitate, you research more, you close the tab. You end up buying nothing. Or worse, you buy something and regret it. This is called paralysis by analysis. You're so overwhelmed by possibilities that your brain freezes. And it doesn't end with shopping. The same thing happens on streaming platforms. You open Netflix intending to watch something relaxing, but 30 minutes later, you're still browsing. Dozens of genres, hundreds of titles, thousands of thumbnails. You get tired, frustrated, and end up watching nothing, or settling for a movie you don't even finish. Ironically, when we are given too many choices, we feel like we have less control, not more. Less joy, less action, more anxiety. It's not about being incapable of choosing. It's that the mental cost of choosing becomes too high. And over time, this cost bleeds into our overall sense of satisfaction with life. You don't need to be a scientist or philosopher to feel the weight of too many choices. You just need to be alive in today's world. Let's talk about the spaces where choice overload shows up the most. Online shopping, streaming services, dating apps, and even your own identity. Start with shopping. Websites like Amazon offer millions of products. You want to buy a laptop, so you start comparing specs. RAM, processor speed, battery life, brand reputation. Then come the reviews, some glowing, some terrifying. You fall into the rabbit hole of Reddit threads, unboxing videos, comparison blogs, and after an hour, you're more confused than when you started. Even if you do buy something, there's a voice whispering, "What if another one was better?" Now apply that to Netflix or Spotify. You open the app looking for something fun. But after scrolling through endless options, you feel more drained than entertained. Psychologists call this decision fatigue meets dissatisfaction. Too much choice makes it harder to commit, and even harder to feel good about committing. Then there's dating. Apps like Tinder present a literal sea of potential partners. Swipe left, swipe right, but more choice leads to FOBO, the fear of better options. You meet someone great, but still wonder, could there be someone better one swipe away? It sounds superficial, but it's a real psychological effect. The illusion of perfection is always in reach, so commitment feels like settling. And finally, there's you. your lifestyle, your identity. Social media presents infinite versions of how to live. Be a minimalist, a digital nomad, a fitness coach, a mindfulness guru. And in trying to pick the right version of yourself, you lose touch with who you are. Choice. This isn't just stress, it's existential confusion. And it's the silent cost of living in a world where everything is possible, but nothing feels right. What if I told you that too much freedom might actually make us miserable? It's a bold idea. After all, freedom is sacred. We fight for it, we celebrate it. But some of the greatest minds in philosophy have warned us. Too much freedom can lead to deep, paralyzing anxiety. Let's start with Jean-Paul Sartre, a leading figure in existential philosophy. He introduced the concept of radical freedom, the belief that human beings are completely free to choose their own path, values, and meaning in life. Sounds empowering, right? But Sartre didn't celebrate this freedom as something easy. He said we are condemned to be free. Why condemned? Because with total freedom comes total responsibility. Every choice defines who we are. There's no guidebook, no objective rule, just us and the weight of every decision. And that weight becomes anguish, the fear that we'll choose wrong, that will waste our life, that every door we open means closing 100 others forever. Before Sartre, Danish philosopher Sartre Kierkegaard also explored this concept. He called it the dizziness of freedom. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. You're free to jump, free to walk away. And that very freedom makes your head spin. In today's world, we are drowning in that dizziness. We're told line, you can be anything, go anywhere, love anyone, become whoever you want. And instead of feeling liberated, we feel lost. We second-guess our careers. We doubt our relationships. We question our lifestyles. Because every choice feels final, irreversible, identity-defining. This is not just overthinking. It's a deep existential anxiety born from having too many possibilities and no clear direction. And when you combine this with social pressure, everyone on Instagram living their best life, you start to wonder if you're even living at all. That's the curse of modern freedom. When everything is possible, nothing feels real. So we delay decisions. We avoid commitment. We keep swiping, keep searching, keep comparing, believing there's something better out there, while never choosing anything at all. Now let's zoom in on two types of decision makers, maximizers and satisficers. Understanding the difference between them may just change how you approach every choice in your life. Maximizers want the best. Not good, not pretty good, the absolute best. They research endlessly, compare dozens of options, read reviews, watch videos, make spreadsheets. And when they finally make a decision, they're still not satisfied. Why? Because they wonder, what if I miss something better? This mindset might seem smart. Why settle, right? But Barry Schwartz's research reveals something surprising. Maximizers are often more anxious, less happy, and more prone to regret. Then there are satisficers. They don't pick the worst. They pick what's good enough. A choice that meets their needs, even if it's not the perfect one. And once they decide, they move on. No looking back. In study after study, satisficers report higher life satisfaction, less stress, and more confidence in their decisions. Let's say you're buying a phone. A maximizer will spend days comparing screen resolution, chip specs, battery life, RAM, 5G compatibility, color finish, and once they buy one, they keep watching reviews of the models they didn't choose. A satisficer finds a model that fits their budget, works well, and has decent reviews. They buy it, they smile, they use it, done. Here's the takeaway. Maximizing might feel like control, but it often leads to torment. Satisficing feels like compromise, but it brings peace. This doesn't mean settling for less. It means knowing what matters, letting go of perfectionism, and embracing good enough as the path to freedom. In a world that worships optimization, sometimes your greatest strength is knowing when to stop. So, now that we've seen how too many choices drain us, stress us, and even reshape our identities, the question becomes, how do we escape this paradox? The good news? There are practical, powerful strategies. Let's walk through them. 1. Limit trivial choices. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. So did Mark Zuckerberg. Why? To save brainpower for more important decisions. You don't need to agonize over what to eat, wear, or post every morning. Create routines. Automate the small stuff. Free up space for what really matters. 2. Use time limits. Set a timer. Give yourself 30 seconds to choose lunch. Give yourself 24 hours to buy that flight ticket. Why? Because the more time you give yourself, the more room doubt has to grow. Quick, confident decisions, when possible, beat endless comparison every time. 3. Know what matters. Not every decision deserves equal weight. Use the 80-20 rule. 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your choices. Focus your energy on the big ones. Relationships, health, purpose, not which brand of almond milk to buy. 4. Choose and commit. As philosopher Erich Fromm once said, commitment is the act of making a choice and then shutting the door to other options. This doesn't mean stubbornness, it means confidence. When you choose something, own it. 5. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to what if. Instead of fixating on what you didn't choose, appreciate what you did. You'll feel less regret, more contentment, and more trust in yourself. Because in the end, escaping the paradox of choice isn't about having fewer options. It's about having more clarity, less obsession with being perfect, more faith in being present. You don't need to choose the perfect life. You just need to choose your life and live it fully. Even after we make a decision, many of us don't feel relieved. We feel anxious. We start to second guess, analyze, compare, and regret. This is what psychologists call FOBO, the fear of better options. It's the voice in your head that whispers, what if the other one was better? What if I waited one more day? What if I chose wrong? And that voice robs you of joy. You finally bought the phone you've been researching for weeks, but instead of enjoying it, you keep wondering whether another model had a better camera. You commit to a relationship, but your mind occasionally drifts to the idea of someone more perfect. You say yes to a job, but can't stop stalking job boards just in case. FOBO turns every choice into a potential mistake. It convinces you that perfection is just one option away, but that option is always out of reach. So how do we silence this voice? With something ancient, simple, and powerful. Gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you might have had to what you already have. It grounds you in the present. It reframes your story, not as one of missed chances, but of good choices. Studies show that people who practice regular gratitude feel more satisfied with their lives, have higher self-esteem, and make more confident decisions. Here's a trick. Next time you make a decision, write down why you chose it. Write down what's good about it, what it gives you, and why it aligns with your values. Then, when FOBO creeps in, read it back to yourself. You'll remember that you didn't choose randomly, you chose with purpose. Because ultimately, it's not the number of options that determines happiness. It's the mindset we bring to our decisions. When you replace comparison with appreciation, doubt with trust, perfection with presence, you don't just escape the paradox of choice, you transcend it. So here we are. We've walked through the science, the psychology, the philosophy. We've explored how our brain processes decisions, how society overwhelms us with options, how our hearts get tangled in fear and regret. And now let's pause. Because at the heart of it all lies one simple question. What does it mean to be free? We were raised to believe that freedom equals choice. The more choices we have, the freer we are. But as Barry Schwartz reveals in The Paradox of Choice, that belief is incomplete. Because when every door is open, we often walk through none. When we can be anyone, we feel like no one. And when we seek the perfect, we often reject the good. True freedom, then, is not about having infinite choices. It's about choosing and then letting go. It's the ability to say, I've made my decision. I'm standing by it. I'm not looking back. Because confidence doesn't come from perfect choices. It comes from commitment, from trusting yourself, from realizing that happiness is not hidden in the next option. It's found in how fully you live with the one you've chosen. And in today's world, that's a radical act. To say, this is enough. I am enough. My life right now is worth living without comparison. So next time you face a decision, big or small, remember this. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, don't overthink. If the answer is yes, choose with clarity, then move forward fully. Because sometimes the secret to happiness isn't choosing better. It's choosing once and choosing well. Now I'll leave you with one final question. Are you overwhelmed by choice? Or are you simply afraid to commit to who you already are? If this message resonated with you, share it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, because someone else out there might need to hear this too.